My guest today is Robert Attwell, CEO, Discovery Insure. Robert, you've been with Discovery for almost 13 years, shaping the landscape of the insurance industry through innovation and leadership. I'd love to dive into your journey as well as the exciting trends and challenges happening at Discovery Insure. So, welcome and thank you for your time. So you've been with Discovery for almost 13 years. Talk to me about your career heading up to where you are now.
Thanks, Rianet, and thanks for your time. It's great. It's great to chat. Yeah, I've had a really amazing career so far, and it's been an exciting journey. I started out at Discovery Life actually after studying actuarial science at WITS, so in actuary and training. Started out as a life valuations actuary. Now, essentially, that is probably the most traditional or the purest type of actuarial role you get, right? It's around taking mortality tables and doing all the back office modeling. You don't really see people. It's kind of a very technical role. And I kind of sharpened my teeth, like in the actuarial space, at Discovery Life. And I worked there for 6 years. I started out the analytics function there as well. And then at some point, the current CEO of Discovery Insure at the time, he reached out and he said, there's a new role at Discovery Insure. Would I like to come across? And I did that. And it was such a privilege to actually learn and work with him. My role at Discovery Insure started out as corporate actuarial, so also fairly technical, placing the reinsurance, doing reserving, things like that. And at the time, they felt, well, if you can negotiate with a reinsurer, you should be able to negotiate with a panel beater. So they, it's not quite the same, to be honest. I learned that very quickly. But
who's the tougher customer?
No, exactly. Maybe I shouldn't say it on a recording. And it was a fascinating experience. So I started overseeing procurement as well. And really the idea was you should apply kind of actuarial learnings and analytics in terms of how you run procurement in a business, because procurement really is the underbelly of short-term insurance. It's every claim we pay is driven through kind of procurement. And I think through that, I got incredible exposure to operations and processes and really what drives a short-term insurer. And then about 16 months now ago, I got it was a privilege to take over as CEO of Discovery Insure.
Was that a daunting thought? Because Discovery is a huge brand with a lot of innovation attached to it. And stepping into that role means, yes, you still have your team, you still have the people around you, but it gives you a little bit of a bigger responsibility and a lot of people watching over your shoulder, right?
Completely. It's a massive business. It's been an incredible business. It's 13 years old now, with really 6 billion rand of premium income, and certainly very daunting. But I think at the same time, kind of such a privilege to kind of get to say that I'm leading this business into the future, and kind of taking it to the next level. So I'd say daunting, but at the same time, just recognizing that it's a privilege and you need to just give your whole self to kind of growing this business and taking up that responsibility.
And that's how we grow, right? We step completely out of our comfort zones. It's not always easy. It's not always something you had in mind, but stepping out of your comfort zone, that's cool, and that's a way forward.
Exactly.
So everyone knows Discovery Insure, no doubt. But when people, be it industry or clients, talk about Discovery Insure, what should stand out or be the first thing that they think of, or you would want to think them of Discovery Insure?
Yeah, I think the first thing is for me, it's around understanding that it's incredible insurance. It's comprehensive, and we're going to be there in that moment that you need us. So I think like the first is, I guess, peace of mind. And that nearly becomes a hygiene factor. Like the peace of mind should be there with Discovery. And then you also know that it's completely innovative, and we partner with you to manage your risk. We believe in shared value. We believe we should reward you for managing your risk, because us as an insurer benefits and you should benefit as well. So yeah, I think it's something that a client should feel that it's cutting edge and a promise that they know is going to get fulfilled.
Yeah, and there's a lot of innovation in the brand, so What challenges in the industry drive you, and how's Discovery Insure navigating? It's a tough market, so how do we navigate these challenges?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think a lot of things keep me up at night.
Sure.
At the moment, it's kind of getting ready for the rainy season. If I look outside of my window, it's an overcast day in Johannesburg, and I mean, I think weather volatility has become quite a feature in South Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen, just compared to last year, like a 40% increase in weather type claims. And now entering a La Nina season, it's a wet season in South Africa. So, I mean, I think that definitely keeps me up, and it's making sure that we can scale operations in a really fast way, that clients can get looked after when that event happens. So, I mean, we've kind of fully prepared for this rainy season. And what used to really keep me up was actually skill shortage in the industry. I think finding really there are incredible people in this industry, but making sure we keep growing them and we retain them in short-term insurance keeps them up at night, because I think it's an industry where we train people, there's a lot of discipline, and then we lose them to other industries. So for me, like, I think just retaining talent in our industry keeps me up as well.
It's good that you mentioned it. Discovery Insure is the sponsor of episode 1 of The Insurance Apprentice, which speaks directly into that. And going to television, we really hope to attract people to come and say, this is an industry I really would like to work in. And, all of us just fall into the industry. I think, except for the actuaries, when you go and study actuarial science, you probably have a fairly good idea where you're going to end up, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You're pretty sure you're going to be financial services.
Yeah. What are some of the key shifts you've seen at Discovery Insure, or you are implementing? And a very important part of the question, where does the broker fit into driving these innovations?
Yeah, we've seen some massive shifts. I think the first was that consumers have been under significant pressure. I mean, thankfully this week we saw the first interest rate reduction in a very long time. So for us, a big shift was making sure that we can offer clients cover while they are financially kind of very strained. So in last year's product launch, we launched our new core plan, which is essentially like a new plan type for a price sensitive client, or a client that just frankly is under pressure at the moment. And the idea was that they could potentially switch to the core plan, and when there's kind of more oxygen in their finances, for lack of a better word, kind of switch them back onto the more comprehensive plans. And the ideal was that we partner with brokers, right? I mean, for a broker, at the core of everything is making sure that a client has cover, rather than losing a client completely because they can't afford it. So I think for us, it was really partnering with brokers and advisors to make sure that they can retain a client on the right plan type, and that cover really still stays in place. In terms of other shifts we've seen that have been fascinating, in our launch this week, we launched something fascinating. We've really unlocked new value for clients. We did an analysis that showed that the way people drive impacts the quality of their vehicle, or the condition of their vehicle. And what we've now said is actually, well, our best drivers then surely should receive more for their vehicle when they sell it. So in partnership with Wheelie and Motus, we've now launched what we call the Vitality Car Rating, an incredible product where clients can get up to 15% boost on the resale value of their vehicle just for driving well. So it's really unlocking kind of brand new value for clients, and the value existed there already, but someone just needed to find it and monetize it for clients. And for us, the journey is working with brokers to understand actually like, how do we unlock value for clients? And I think through another thing we launched that was interesting, we know that our clients love their vehicles. So we said, really, to keep the spark alive, we've launched the Scratch and Dent product. So it's a product to help keep their vehicle in pristine condition. But more importantly, it's another touch point for an advisor to work with a client and to increase the breadth of the cover that they have.
Product development is core in Discovery space, and you've just mentioned it. How do you sustain that high level of creativity with your team? Where does it all come from?
Yeah, it's a question we always get. It's kind of, what is the secret sauce around innovation? I mean, I think the first point to make is that innovation is just part of our DNA. Like, it's what we do. We think of actuarial ways to solve problems. I mean, I'll give you an example. We always saw that load shedding resulted in power surge claims. We always call them our WTF claims. And just for listeners, it's washing machines, TVs, and fridges. I don't know,
Oh,
my mind's
damn.
went.
Okay.
But essentially, then how we look at the problem is we say, well, this is an actuarial problem we should solve. Claims increased. Maybe we can reduce claims by assisting clients with a discount on power surge protection devices. And everything we try to do is bringing a client into the journey with us. So I think there's like a lot of organic innovation that happens in our business. There's also very deliberate investment. So we've got staff and teams dedicated to product development, and the way we manage our system development pipeline is making sure that there's capacity for innovation, which is so critical. But over and above that, there's just these moments where someone would come up with a great idea. It's a place where there's psychological safety. We explore it, and whoever has the great idea in the business, we're willing to look at it and take it forward, right? And often those best ideas come from those really spontaneous moments where someone just on their drive to work thought, how about this? And I think at Discovery, there's kind of the latitude and the data to explore that. And I think that empowerment is critical.
Yes, and I think it's part of your culture. So you also employ the people who has got that creative and innovative mindset, right?
That's exactly it. So I think that the innovation happens because we have incredible people, and the system is set up to foster the innovation.
I think it's important that we also touch on Discovery's shared value philosophy, because that's one of the core things that drives Discovery. How does that manifest through Discovery Insure, and specifically in the work that you guys do?
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably one of the core reasons why I'm really proud to lead this business. Is actually the impact we have on society. So Discovery Insure's core purpose is really to create a nation of great drivers, and that's really why we launched Vitality Drive. We know we've got a massive road fatality rate in South Africa, where really it's nearly 33.1 out of 100,000 people die per year on the road. And we said, well, surely we can do our part to make South African roads safer. And that's really why we have Vitality Drive. And the program has been remarkable in reducing the road accident risk for our best drivers. So we see our best drivers on Diamond have a 68% lower loss ratio compared to their blue counterparts. And we see a 40% lower fatality rate on motor vehicle accidents through Discovery Insure. And how that plays out in shared value is we incentivize you to drive well. You obviously get a reward. The insurer benefits, but ultimately what we're trying to do is make South African roads safer. And that's just played out really beautifully in our product. And I think we've got the stats to prove it. I think over and above that, why we believe in shared value is that we should be doing things for society because we are pro-South Africa. And initiatives like the Pothole Patrol, it's been an incredibly successful initiative. We've repaired over 240,000 potholes in Joburg. But that doesn't just benefit our clients, that benefits every single South
100%.
African that uses the roads, and it makes sure that their tires and their rims are protected. But more importantly, it gives a really great feel around South Africa. There's this broken window theory where as soon as you see decay of the environment around you, you typically actually crime increases, sentiment goes down. And we really saw with the Pothole Patrol, as soon as the environment looks better around you, the sentiment improves, and all South Africans benefit. And I think that's just what makes our shared value model so powerful.
I know you guys with your product do address this to some extent, but how big is the phone on the ear and drive problem?
Yes, it's a very big problem. So we actually last year launched a really interesting white paper that showed speeding used to be the biggest contributor to motor vehicle accidents. Phone usage while you drive is now taken over as kind of the number one killer.
And then people combine that now.
Exactly. It is absolutely scary. You actually drive blind. And I think something that me personally has taken on as kind of just a driver after seeing that stat is that I need to do my part to make sure that I'm also not on my phone when I drive. And we've all been there. It's really tempting. You want to change a song, you want to quickly read a WhatsApp. I mean, I actually have a personal story. I was actually running on a running pram with my two daughters in a double pram, and obviously we're running on the road, and I could see someone actually their car veering towards us. and it was very difficult to maneuver my children out of the road, and the person was on their phone, right? And it just made it so much more personal for me to say, actually, you're putting everyone at risk by being on your phone when you drive. So a lot of what we do now is actually to incentivize clients to not use their phone when they drive. Obviously, hands-free kit is completely fine, but we make sure that there's a significant fuel reward up to 1,500 Rand if you also don't use your phone.
Yeah, so that was actually my next question in your white paper. Could you see a difference between, I mean, surely you are somewhat distracted, but it's okay because life happens and we have to carry on with our life. At least when you speak hands-free, it's better than the hand against the ear.
That's exactly it. We're seeing just if you take your eyes off the road, so if you're engaging on your screen, if you're tapping on your phone screen,
that's the moment.
That is dangerous. That is the moment you're blind. But hands-free, we're seeing completely in our stats as being fine.
Rob, you are still fairly young. Well, you look exceptionally young, but can you describe your leadership philosophy and your leadership style, how it evolved throughout your career? Maybe you can add something important, and that is how you measure the success of leadership, not only yours, but also those people working within the business. It's a handful.
No, it's a great question. I mean, the first point to make is I don't think like a leader ever arrives, and I think like a leadership journey like really does evolve. I mean, if I think back to maybe the first direct report I have, how I lead my teams now are of course very different. And I've got the privilege of leading like a group of really seasoned executives. I'd say kind of given that I'm leading an executive team, my philosophy is with my leaders that we are loosely coupled, but we're closely aligned. So we know exactly where we're heading, but I'm not gonna kind of dictate like how you do your job. I'm saying we need to get there. We need to be kind of running in tandem, but you've got the latitude as another exceptional leader to kind of run your area as you should. And that philosophy has kind of really kind of worked for me. I've got a philosophy of just trying to enable people to be better. Like I really believe that I always say to our team that all of us is better than one of us, right? And combined, we can do so much more. And that's really been my philosophy over time. I mean, I think I always try to say that also that the rising tide lifts all boats. And my role is to make sure that everyone is supported and everyone's enabled, and that we execute on the strategy for the business.
You've got a huge role to play, but you've got the team with you, so it makes it definitely easier. I can see that you are really passionate about the business, but if I have to ask you, what are you most proud about of being part of this team and a bigger company?
Sure, it's a very good question. I mean, I see these really incredible stories. We have a trauma concierge team where if our clients experience a very traumatic claim, like a break-in or something traumatic at their home, we've got a team that visits them. And I mean, I probably get some feedback around this team every week, and it's probably the most special moment of their week because it brings the real human element to what we do, right? We're actually stepping in for trauma and loss, and we're getting people back on their feet. And I'd say it's kind of those moments that make me like extremely proud of what we do as a business and as an industry.
I think that is a great answer because it really speaks to the human part of who you are and the business. So that's awesome. Last question. A big part of your audience, biggest, is brokers, the people that we speak to. Any last message to close off?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first point to make is I think brokers and advisors play an incredibly important role in the insurance business. I mean, in terms of that human element, often an advisor is the link between the financial institution and kind of the human on the other end. And I've just seen so many cases where clients are looked after because a broker did an amazing job in terms of a financial needs analysis and really understanding the needs that often a client didn't even know existed. So I think from our side, I think the broker plays an incredible role in making what we do really relevant. And I think just from Discovery Insure side, I think it's just thanking the broker and the advisor community for incredible support and kind of believing in what we do as well.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for your time. I love your passion for the business, and your energy is contagious. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Rianet.